Hi, I think, yeah, we're all started. Hey, hi, Corinne. Good to
Sure.
see you.
Very good to see you.
Welcome to your Mindful Month podcast. And for those of you listening who are not familiar with this podcast, I'm Astra. I'm a mindful yoga coach, helping people with a mindful approach to living and just promoting a sense of well-being every day. So today we're talking about a mindful approach to fitness, and I've invited a very special guest, Corinne Humphreys. And I'll just do you a little introduction, Corinne. Corinne is a British sprinter and is a 100-metre semi-finalist in the 2018 Commonwealth Games. Corinne is now training for the next Olympics. And as well as this, Corinne is a sports and fitness coach and founder of Pathway to Fit, where she trains clients from around the world to achieve their mind, body, and fitness goals. Yes, please. So very, very welcome to you, Corinne. Thank you for finding the time to come and speak to me. I know you're very busy. And I really wanted you to come along because I know that for you personally, you've actually had to use a lot of mindset training to overcome injuries as an athlete. So really wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you share with people as a coach for overcoming barriers. We're all in a situation at the moment where it feels, like we haven't got much control, and we're not able to do the things we want to do. And so I just wanted to talk to you more about the types of things that, from a mindset perspective, that can help people start thinking about their well-being and fitness.
Oh wow. Uh, well, from a fitness perspective and sort of why I did start Pathway to Fit, it was kind of because of the qualities that I have taken from competitive sport.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm way more resilient now. I persevere I'm very good at persevering through hard times, and yeah, just not seeing things as barriers anymore. And
Mm.
also just things to do with self-confidence and self-esteem, through having to battle injuries and just the ups and downs of sport in general. You
Mm.
do It is an opportunity to build your self-confidence and your self-esteem, and also just to how you feel about your body as well. And I think that is the
Yeah.
people that I love to help, and who I'm really out here helping and welcoming into the camp. It is people that are struggling with low self-esteem and low confidence, and that do struggle with body image.
Mm. Mm. So those are the people that you work with the most with Pathway to Fit.
Yeah, and it's
Amazing.
a mindful approach to fitness for people like that, for sure.
Mm, mm. Well, I think that those are definitely some of the very things that people have in their lives that make them want to become more well and fit and accepting,
Yeah.
is the things that are also the barriers to actually starting in that process. And I know that in this situation at the moment, I'm starting new things that I hadn't thought about doing. So there are sort of benefits to the current situation, as miserable as it is, that actually this is a real opportunity to look at things slightly differently and look at why you want to get into fitness and making that a long term. So yeah, just wanted to talk to you more about some of those barriers to either starting a fitness program or just being consistent with one that you've started.
Mhm.
In your experience, I know it might be you personally, it could be people you work with, just maybe just a little insight into some of the barriers and how you might overcome those barriers.
I think one of the things that has definitely been a barrier, and I have seen it as a barrier to people that I work with, when they're approaching their fitness,
Mm,
it's not having a clear plan and purpose.
mm,
I feel like me personally with myself, and I think, do you know what? To be honest, this is actually what is the difference between an athlete and just general fitness. It is
mm,
having that purpose. I think it's always easy for us because there's always something a bit more tangible,
mm.
and we have a clear plan that will speak to this tangible thing that we're trying to reach.
As athletes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
athletes.
as
So
athletes, yeah.
exactly. So with people that are just doing this for general fitness and general well-being, I think
Mm,
for them, they kind of face that barrier of not having that clear kind of even state that they're trying
mm,
to achieve. So therefore, they don't really have a clear plan as to how they're going to achieve that state. I
Mm.
think that's one of the biggest barriers that I've come up against personally, and that I see a lot of the time in the people that I work with. And that is something that we actively try to overcome.
Mm. And so what would be a way of overcoming that? I mean, in terms of, as you say, I'm not training for the Olympics, so that's like a major motivator for you. I imagine waking up in the morning and training. However, I don't have that hanging over me, and I'm not somebody. I think maybe because I'm more inclined to let myself off the hook, if should I
Yeah.
say, to worry about goals in that way. So what would you be encouraging people from that perspective, to try and get a little bit more clear about why it's important for you?
Again, it's not that far removed. I know you're saying that there's a big difference, but it's not that far removed, because to me personally, that medal or that goal,
Mm,
it's a piece of metal, but for me, it's bringing me happiness. It's bringing me validation. It's bringing all of these things, and these are the same things that
mm,
you're gonna want to feel. So that purpose that I'm saying is that thing that you are striving for. It's what state are you striving for? How do you want to feel?
yeah, that's
What
a
is that
really
state
good
of
point.
happiness that you're really trying to feel? And then from that, let's create a plan for you to achieve that.
Amazing. So yeah, I never thought of it in that way. So your medal, as
Yeah,
it were, is that feeling
definitely.
of whatever that feeling is, without kind of, it could be achieving your goals, it could be feeling well, it could
Yeah,
be, as you say, feeling more validated
yeah.
for you personally. So that is a really good way of looking at it. That is no different. That your bit of metal represents lots of different things.
I mean,
Amazing.
it's the equivalent. My medal is the equivalent for somebody's health issues to not be arising as much. It's
Mm,
equivalent to somebody being able to walk up the escalators, on the underground. It's
mm.
definitely the same, and that's how I treat it.
Yeah, yeah. So the solution, in a way, and I know we discussed earlier, when we had a little informal chat, that
Yeah.
you kind of have sort of set mindset solutions to some of these barriers. So that first one, um, what would be the solution to the one we've just discussed?
So a solution to you feeling like you don't have a clear plan and not really knowing your purpose as such just yet, something to help you overcome that is just by doing the basics well to start
Yeah.
with. So for whatever your goal is, uh, you would have to have some prior knowledge of kind of some of the steps, so you
Mm,
know what basics you're talking to or you're trying to, do every day. But
yeah.
doing your basics well, and they're going to be individual. That's kind of what is going to help you definitely overcome that barrier. And just a bit of an example, just within myself, I know that, and you can speak to this. My flexibility isn't great, so
Mm,
that was my basic. My basic that I have been doing well, and that has kind of helped me to perform better and reach my goal quicker, was me stretching for 20 minutes every day.
mm.
So that was my basic, which it wasn't really complex stretches. It was really basic stretches, but doing that consistently is definitely one of my solutions to one of the barriers that I had.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, so doing the basics well,
Yeah.
and also not looking at the basics as a lesser point, but
Yeah.
actually that it's part of the whole, and it's a valid part of the
Foundation.
whole. Yeah, it's a
It's a
valid part of the
foundation.
whole. And I get this sometimes in my classes, where some people who might attend some of my classes and we're doing basic stuff, we
Mhm.
might go on to do other stuff, but a lot of it is basics, because that's where you develop the awareness,
Yeah.
in the body as well, and you also have a conversation with yourself, with your body, when you're keeping things really simple.
Yeah.
um, so, and then some people might say, oh, this is not advanced, what type of yoga is this? But actually doing the basics well is a really good way of doing the advanced stuff well.
Exactly.
It's part of that process, but also feeling like it's valid,
Yeah.
and it's not lesser. So
Yeah.
that's a really, really good point. And so yeah, so one of the barriers are that you're not really taking ownership in a way of those things. I know you discussed before as well about other barriers that you're finding when you're working with people. So maybe talking to some of those.
Yeah, not well. A solution would be taking ownership, but I think the barrier to you taking ownership is people that feel like they lack the ability.
Mm,
So when you feel like you lack the ability, you just you just feel so far removed from your goal. So
mm,
like taking ownership again of those small steps, it kind of brings what you're bringing into this kind of bigger journey, if
mm.
you will.
So
When
it's
you
kind
take
of very personal. It's very
yeah,
personal, very unique to you.
definitely,
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, that, taking ownership of the uniqueness of your journey.
definitely.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So one of the solutions would be that, and you said the small steps, so that's quite important, taking ownership of the small steps.
Yeah.
So maybe give me an example of maybe where you would encourage people to take ownership of the small steps.
So with the people that I work with, them taking, when I encourage them to take ownership of the small steps, it is things. It could be as little as setting an alarm on your phone to remind you to meal prep, let's say,
Mm,
or it could be something, even just taking ownership of your commute. To be honest, yeah, your commute. So it's, are you walking home from the station, or are you taking the bus? Take ownership of that from earlier on in the day, and take ownership of your commute even.
yeah, so would that be like scheduled in and it would be kind of diarized? Would it be as disciplined as that?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
just maybe an attitude?
Both. I feel like the attitude comes from things that are a bit more tangible, which are things that are written down in journals and schedules and things like that. So I feel
Mm,
like taking ownership of the small steps is heavily linked to you being sort of proactive in journaling and scheduling and things like that.
And then so in so doing that, would that help with confidence?
Oh,
Well,
definitely.
because I mean, you talked about lack of confidence. So if you're taking ownership of just the small little things that you need to put in place, you become a little bit more confident about doing some of your fitness objectives. Is that kind of the point?
100%. I feel like the way how I approach, again, with people that I help, it's
Mm.
competence builds confidence always. So I always make sure that I'll
Did you say competence?
competence
Competence.
builds confidence.
Amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. Competence builds confidence.
Yes. So
Mm.
just helping people along in their fitness goals, I know that I can always see when people don't like certain exercises or certain approaches to fitness and things that they do like.
Mm.
And I feel like in building the things that I can see that they are good at and they
Mm.
are taking an interest to, we build a level of competence which kind of builds your overall confidence to exercise and the fitness way in general.
Mm. Mm. Amazing. So yeah, so okay, I'm getting that. I'm hearing those messages loud and clear.
Confidence
And
builds
then
confidence, remember that.
any other barriers that you find that people are up against when they're wanting to be consistent with fitness, but also just starting their fitness journey?
Yeah, I think probably the last one that I could think of is probably the lack of support system that they have.
Mm.
And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people that are sort of starting their fitness journey, or one people that are sort of in and out, I feel like if they had someone there to spur them on, to share the bad days, to share the good days, I think
Mm.
keep them in it longer. Or if you haven't started yet, you having that thing to relate to, it kind of draws you in a bit more and it keeps you there for longer because you're not just going through this by yourself.
So like a community,
Yeah,
building that community.
to that
So I
community.
know that you mentioned also, when you were recovering from
Mm.
your injuries, you had to kind of put yourself in that space, that mindset of other people in the same experience.
Definitely, I think with me, and this is another area where athletes are they have a bit more of a support system because we do train in a group. So
Right.
my group are based in Canada. So I'm actually very much like a lot of people right now where they don't have anyone around them that's doing what they're doing, but
Wow.
we make use of technology, which is something that everyone is doing now at this time.
You're
And me
training
and
with Canadians. You're actually training with Canadians to
yeah,
not. I didn't imagine that. I didn't
yeah.
imagine that.
So my program, I get the same program as my teammates that are in Canada. We kind
Mm.
of sync up the time, so we train the same time, even though they're in a different time zone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There is still a sense of community just via WhatsApp, and that's enough for me because I know that
So
they're
yeah, so people, if they're wanting to really think about, if it's part of their goals anyway, because obviously I'm speaking to people who really want to integrate fitness
yeah,
into their lives,
yeah,
or thinking about it, that you're really wanting to reach out to other people, just like I've reached out to you, with like-minded people who may be able to support you virtually, and I know that there's lots of challenges online. I've joined some challenges and I've done more fitness than I've ever done. I've done a lot more eating as well. So it kind of cancels itself out, hopefully. Yeah, so that, maybe Facebook groups or Instagram. I know lots of people are not into Instagram. There's lots of things that people are not into social media wise, but, even on the television, there is that kind of community building around fitness now, given that we do have these restrictions and we do need to keep ourselves well.
yeah.
So no, those were great examples. So I'll just summarize your 3 points. First one being that you really have to, let me just see what you said, start with the basics
Mhm,
and do the basics well. Second point is you're really talking about taking ownership of the small steps. So
mhm.
not seeing that as a lesser aim or objective, but it's actually part of the whole. And feeling good about that, really. And then thirdly, reaching out to like-minded people and building community around those aims and objectives.
Yeah.
So that, just like you've done today, I really appreciate the time that you've given. And so where can people work with you? How can they get in touch?
Well, to see a bit more about who we are and what we do, you can visit www.pathway2fit.com, or you can follow us on Instagram if you have Instagram, and that's at Pathway to Fit. Or if you want to reach out to me personally and see what I do on the track and in my fitness, that's on Instagram at CD Humphreys, or you can reach me on Twitter at CDHump_.
Fabulous. So all the socials for you there for Pathway to Fit, but also CD Humphreys.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I just to say, wish you well on your journey to Tokyo.
Thank you so much, Astra. Thank
And
you.
thank you for sharing your tips. So wishing you resilience and perseverance like we all need. And yeah, so keep well and see you soon. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.